Russian President Vladimir Putin has warned the United States that if Washington deployed long-range missiles in Germany, then Russia would station similar missiles in striking distance of the West. The United States said on the 10th of July that it would start deploying long-range missiles, and then Germany from 2026, actually in preparation for a long-term deployment that will include SM-6 Tomahawk cruise missiles and developmental hypersonic weapons as well. Now, in a speech to sailors from Russia, China, Algeria and India to mark Russian Navy Day in the former imperial capital of St. Petersburg, Putin warned the United States that it risked triggering a Cold War-style missile crisis with the move. In fact, to quote Putin, he said, "The flight time to targets on our territory of such missiles, which in the future may be equipped with nuclear warheads, will be about 10 minutes.
Таких ракет, которые в перспективе могут быть оснащены и ядерными боеголовками, составит порядка 10 минут. Уважаемые граждане России, при этом ранее в ходе учения США уже отработали переброску ракетных комплексов Дарк, Тайфун со своей территории в Данию и на Филиппины. Такая ситуация напоминает события времен Холодной войны.
Well, for further clarity on the global ramifications, we have with us former chairperson of the Center for Russian and Central Asian Studies at JNU, Professor Anuradha Janoy. Thank you so much, Professor, for making time for us. Russian and US diplomats say that diplomatic relations are worse even than during the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. And both Moscow and Washington have urged de-escalation, while both have also made steps towards escalation. Help our viewers decode what's going on, Professor.
Look, this war in Ukraine between Ukraine and Russia, but actually Ukraine is backed by all 32 members and especially the US. It's a proxy war. That has been gradually escalating over the past 2 years, especially because Russia is clearly winning. They've got about 23-24% of the Ukrainian earlier territory is now with Russia, and every day they're making gains. And this is making NATO and the US very tense. They don't want to lose this war. It'll be a big blow on NATO. And so now they're deploying these nuclear missiles, which earlier the US itself had said was a no-no because it can lead to a third world war. And it can. And now Putin has reacted and said that just like the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when the Soviet Union at that time and the US almost pressed on the nuclear button, but there was good diplomacy, especially from President Kennedy at that time, and it was de-escalated. Putin is warning that unless there's a very clear de-escalation, this can lead to that missile crisis, and it's much worse. Number one, the nuclear weaponry is much more advanced than the 60s, than the earlier Cold War. And second, the distance between Germany, where they want to place these nuclear missiles facing Moscow and St. Petersburg, which would lead to complete annihilation, they said they would retaliate and put nuclear missiles facing Germany, which will lead to mutually assured destruction. Now, the US Defense Secretary Austin did speak to the Russian Defense Secretary Belousov, saying we need to manage and de-escalate, but no steps have been taken. This managed de-escalation is extremely important. Negotiations are extremely important, also because the earlier treaties which were in place since the 80s and 90s, like the Intermediate Nuclear Forces Treaty, START, the Strategic Control Treaties, the disarmament, they have all been dismantled. And the relations between Russia and the US are much worse than they were during the first Cold War. So this new second Cold War, the officials are not taking the name, but Putin has, is much more dangerous. It's dangerous for the world.
Indeed.
And I think all world leaders, especially the important ones, need to tell them to put the brakes and start diplomacy.
Indeed. Putin did repeat an earlier warning that Russia could resume production of intermediate and shorter range nuclear capable missiles as well, and then consider where to deploy them after the United States brought similar missiles to Europe and Asia. There are serious global implications. Thank you so much, as always, Professor Chinoy, for joining us on the World 24/7. With that, we're slipping into a very short break. News and updates continue in a moment. Don't go anywhere.